Now, this announcement first came in June, so will the government finally follow through on the promise? Ruby Sahota is the Secretary of State for Combating Crime, and she joins us right now. Thanks for being here, Ms. Sahota.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for having me on.
So the federal government has talked about protecting our border, but really that only started to be the narrative since it was identified as a problem by U.S. President Donald Trump. So is today's announcement about appeasing the American president?
Absolutely not, Mike. That is something that we definitely undertook under the previous government, started doing work. But in our platform in the election, we had made a commitment to Canadians because for a long time now, we have seen for the past several years that we've had an increase in violent crime in our communities using guns, illegal guns that are smuggled across the border. We are having a fentanyl issue here in Canada as well. I've visited many communities where it's devastating to see the aftermath and the effects, and the numbers are growing, Mike. So we need to do something, and America's issue is, a minor part that probably triggered some of the movement on this months and months ago. But our platform commitment that was made in our platform and will be in our budget is a suite of different measures that we're taking to crack down on crime. That includes the bill that we brought for Stronger Borders Act. It includes our hate crime legislation. It's going to include the bail reform and sentencing, and also the RCMP personnel and CBSA that you heard announced today.
So with respect then, why has it taken so long? I mean, this was something that your government or your party campaigned on in the election 6 months ago. But at the same time, this was announced in some form back in June. It's been 4 months. Why are we only hearing the details now?
It hasn't been long at all. We haven't had a budget where the financing for this can flow. We are a new government that just took office in May. So I think I would argue that we're working quite expeditiously to be able to deliver on our platform promises. We're delivering those in our budget. And the very first piece, or the second piece of legislation, but one of the first that we introduced in the House of Commons was our Stronger Borders Act. That was C2. And so I would say that this has been a priority of our government, and we've been moving very quickly on the issue because it is a top priority of ours.
But with respect, you don't need a budget to introduce something that has new spending measures. I mean, governments do it all the time. If this was so much of a priority, why didn't you move on it in June when this was first announced?
We have been putting systems in place. The CBSA is aware about our recruiting that we need to do. So there has been a lot of work that's being done behind the scenes. The Prime Minister is obviously coming out and communicating some of the work that has started taking place and that will continue to do. You don't hire 1,000 CBSA personnel or RCMP personnel overnight, so this work will take some time. But to be able to get the resources to even do the hiring, that takes some planning and effort. So I would argue 4 months is not a long time. In the grand scheme of things, things are moving very, very quickly. And it was important for the Prime Minister to announce and foreshadow some of the things that have been done and what we can expect in the budget coming forward, because these are concerns that Canadians have. And as a government, we owe it to them to communicate what we're doing to tackle these issues. And so that is exactly why the Prime Minister went out there to make this announcement, so that Canadians know the work that is being done behind the scenes.
I don't think anyone can argue that it does take time to make sure you're finding the right people, training them as well. So what can you tell to Canadians today about when they can see these agents on the actual front lines?
Yeah, so those are assessments that are being made right now, and I think what we're trying to do is make sure that each group of recruits that comes out is larger than the group before, so that we can have a cascading effect and get to the 1,000 new personnel as quickly as possible. Even I'm in Alberta right now, and we just wrapped up the federal, provincial, territorial meeting with all the other justice and public safety ministers. It is something that all provinces are bringing up because they all have issues of organized crime, selling drugs that are often smuggled across the border, and guns in their communities. And so we're trying to work in partnership with everyone as quickly as possible and we do have a lot of applications. And so CBSA has a lot of good candidates to consider right now. And so we're trying to do it as quickly as possible, Mike, but I wouldn't be able to give you an exact timeline. All that I could say is that our goal is to make sure that we're graduating and training more and more officers, and we're more attractive to people that want to apply for the CBSA by providing better finances while they're training, because that often is an obstacle for people that are later into their career. It's difficult to make the switch when you have a family and other obligations and finances that you need to meet. So we need to make sure that the training stipend is one that is attractive, and so we can get the best recruits as well. So all of this is important because we don't just want to increase the number, we want to get highly qualified professionals to do the job.
Yeah, and I understand that, providing any sort of exact date would be difficult, but surely the government has a timeline. You said yourself at the beginning of this interview that this is a major concern for the government. So by what date would you want to make sure that they're in place so that you can feel like you can tell Canadians that the problem not necessarily is solved, but is certainly addressed? The government must have some metrics.
Well, the funding that's been announced that you just showed at the beginning of your show is over a 5-year period, and so we'd like to see, almost a doubling and an increase in recruits each year, so that we can meet that mark and spend that money over the course of that time. It's not just about new recruits too; they also have to have the resources in place so that they can do their job effectively. So that money is all important in attracting, giving them the proper compensation, also the tools, and then having the officers. So once again, Mike, I'd have to say that it's really, really hard to give you exact timelines, but we are committed. This announcement is a serious announcement. Like I said, it's a suite of different announcements that we've been making and different measures that we've been taking to make sure that we're fighting crime at all fronts, whether it's at our borders or in our communities. And often what happens at our border, as Canadians, we know ends up on our streets. And so that's why it is so important to me in my role, working with Minister Ananda Sangri, Minister Sean Fraser, and of course the Prime Minister and all of Cabinet to address the concerns that Canadians have and to deliver on a timely manner, but to also do it in a proper fashion as well. So this will be a project that takes some time, but we are the wheels are in motion, and we are working as fast as we can to get those roles filled.
In some of those details, the national president of the Customs and Immigration Union, which represents the border guards, said that he's worried that all 1,000 hires will not be frontline border guards. What can you say about the breakdown of the hires, and can you assure the union that these will be people who will be on the front lines?
Well, there's a lot of different roles that CBSA officers fill, and just like the RCMP that was announced yesterday, there was, some indication given that about 150 officers would be working in the financial crimes unit. There's a whole bunch of different units in the RCMP as there are in CBSA. So whether they are officers that you see at a border entry or officers that are working behind the scene, I think all roles are very important when it comes to making sure that our borders are secure. So I think all jobs within the CBSA are going to be important to be able to meet our goals. So I'd love to come back, Mike, with some of those details. Those are all going to be ironed out in the coming weeks. And after the budget is unveiled, we'll be able to really get down to work and be able to break down all those numbers. And I'm sure we'd be able to provide them to you soon.
Yeah, and we'll certainly take that opportunity. Just before I let you go, the union has continually said that there's a shortage of between 2,000 and 3,000 officers right now. What does this announcement do to address that issue?
Well, it fills a gap that is needed,
but how much of a gap, I guess, is the question? Because if you're hiring 1,000, are we still going to be 2,000, another 1,000 short if their estimates are on here?
Well, what our commitment is to go above and beyond the capacity that we currently are supposed to have. These 1,000 officers are supposed to be beyond the above and beyond the number that we ought to have today. And so the vacancies that are that need to be filled will be filled, and these 1,000 officers or personnel are a commitment above and beyond that.
So you're saying you'll fill the 2,000 to 3,000 spaces that are currently empty and add 1,000? I'm just trying to figure out the math here.
Well, I'd have to go back to take a look at those numbers because that's a larger number than what I have been ever told. So I would take a look at that. If that is something that he has said, I'm sure it's coming from somewhere, but that's not a number that I've been provided by public safety. So I'll definitely sit down with CBSA and take a look at what the vacancies look like. But that number is a lot larger than anything that I've heard.
So I'm curious what that number that you have heard is then. If the union is saying between 2,000 and 3,000, according to the government, what's the shortfall right now, or what is the gap?
Well, I've heard much smaller numbers in different ports and different entries, but nothing remotely close to that number, Mike. So I'll love to sit down with the union and discuss that with them. I'm sure the public safety minister would as well, and so we can make sure that the roles that need to be filled in order to meet the demands of the crime and the issues that we're seeing these days and the border concerns that we're seeing, that the right roles are filled. And so sometimes these numbers can be misleading, but I mean, I'm not saying that anyone is trying to mislead anybody, but sometimes the vacancies that have been left are not ones that need to be refilled, and maybe others need to be filled. So it really, really depends. And so I'd love to come back and give you a more in-depth view of the places and the positions and maybe the departments that we'll be looking at filling.
And you are always welcome on the show, so we will take you up on that offer at your next soonest convenience. Secretary of State for Combating Crime, Ruby Sahota, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Mike, and I appreciate you having me on here from Alberta. I did want to just say that the federal provincial territorial meeting on justice and crime was a very successful one. We just concluded today, and there was a lot of consensus around the table. I believe that all the provinces and territories and the federal government are really prioritizing these issues and are all steering and heading in the same direction. And so it's been one of the most cooperative and consensus building meetings that everyone has said that they've had for a long time. So I'm looking forward, even on this issue, working with our provincial partners and territories to make sure that their needs are filled through this onboarding of new CBSA officers so that we can make sure that the issues that they're dealing with in their communities can be prevented at the border.
Okay, I appreciate that additional information. We'll talk to you soon.